Hi guys, welcome to the last month before the LSAT. I know that this is a tough time for a lot of people. They start getting really anxious about, what they've done up till now, how it's going to go, whether they're going to improve over this time. And, I think those anxieties can pile up and become really counterproductive. So in this quick video, I wanted to talk about the best ways to make sure that you have a calm, happy, healthy final month of LSAT prep and that you're doing the most you can to maximize this time. So I think there's two main things that people struggle with right now, and the biggest one is probably timing. We'll put that off for a moment because I want to talk generally for a little bit about the other thing, which is anxiety over maybe the rate of improvement, right? A lot of people are like not seeing things come together exactly the way they might have imagined it. They've got a target score in their head, and possibly you're not getting to that target score quickly enough. So let's talk about that for a bit. With improvement on the LSAT, happens slowly, often so slowly that you don't notice it. A lot like growing, okay? Whereas you might not see a whole lot shift, like from taking a prep test to taking another one, tomorrow. If you start averaging your scores together each week, you'll generally see week over week improvements, right? And right now, a lot of people are worried that they've hit some sort of wall and that there's no way to climb over that wall in these last few weeks, right? I want to tell you that that's generally not the experience that most people have. If they just put their head down and keep practicing, they tend to see improvements in this time period. And the reason it works like that is up till now, you've marshaled all these skills. You've developed them to the point where you understand them and can apply them. However, it's really right now that you're going to start developing full control of these skills, right? It's right now that you can expect to turn these skills into habits and then polish those habits so that they're really working effectively for you. So I think most people actually see substantial improvements in this final time period. So my story of my last month of prep, when I went into the last month, I was missing maybe, 3, 4, 5 questions on a typical LG section and 2 or 3 on a typical LR section, and I was able to get rid of all of that. So that took me from consistently scoring in the mid to high 160s to consistently scoring in the middle 170s. So that's a big improvement to make in this last time period, and that's not too atypical. The reason being that, all that work that I had done before started really coming together, and as I stitched it together and kept focusing on eliminating weaknesses, gradually I was just really running on full steam. And the fact that you're doing so many practice tests right now should help facilitate that. So as long as you're not spending all your time worried about whether you're improving and picking to death every little thing that happens, and instead you're keeping your head down and just doing prep test after prep test after prep test, you will see improvement. It might be slow, so you don't notice it every time you look in the mirror. It's like growing up, right? But if, next week you average together your practice scores from next week, I assure you they're likely going to be higher than the average of your practice scores this week, right? So just keep your head down, try and remove counterproductive anxiety, and just practice. The other good thing to remember is that even though this test is really important, supremely important, difficult to overstate, this particular administration of the test is not all important, right? If we have to cancel and then delay till December, or if you end up taking it and feel that things don't go well and you want to cancel, or even if you get a bad score this time around, that's not the end of the line, right? We can do this again in December or February or even June if need be. What's important, all that's important, is that eventually you reach your max potential on this exam. Do the best you can do. It's that simple. But take the pressure off yourself that it has to happen now or never. obviously we'd all like to be done with this process quickly. You know, taking the LSAT is hardly the most fun you can have in life, but it's important enough that, you know, since you've got second chances if you need them, you know, realize that this one time is not when you do or you die, right? We've got more in the tank in the future if we need to, you know, more opportunities to take the test. So take the pressure off yourself of thinking that this is like your Super Bowl, right? And if you don't win this, your whole career is shot and your whole reputation as a quarterback is shot. That's not, nobody's watching except you until you apply, and then they're going to watch one thing, your best score, right? So as long as sometime in the future we get you to get through the door and have the best score you think you can possibly have, we'll have won, right? We'll have won, we'll have done everything we need to do here. So if it doesn't happen this time, take that pressure off yourself a bit, all right? So even if you don't see the desired improvements this month, you know, that's not going to be the end of the world. Okay, so those are my tips generally for taking a little bit of weight off yourself and taking some pressure off. First thing first is you're likely to improve pretty big time this last month, right? And then the second thing is if you don't, it's not the hugest deal in the world. So what you should be doing is forgetting about all that stuff and just keeping your head down over those prep tests, which is how we're going to improve. And if you do that, you'll see your score creeping up week over week until the exam. And improvements, even 1 to 2 point jumps each week, that's going to put you in a much better place at the end, right? Okay, so with that, let's move on in the next video to talking about timing.